Time for world politics here on Pod TV. And by the way, we're back to our four channels. That's right. We were down to three, but we've got four channels because the sports and entertainment channel is back up and running. It had been down for a while, but it's back running. So we got the four channels going, and they've all got different things going on, including reruns and everything like that. So if you got a concert or something like that that you want to have aired, you can definitely do that here on Pod TV and all along those lines, or maybe even a game or a sport that you're interested in, and all along but lots going on in the political landscape, and absolutely that's going on. Trump says whole civilization will die tonight as strikes on Iran are ramping up. So Trump warns Iran's whole civilization will die tonight unless a deal is struck, and he said that earlier. And some Republicans vent concern as party backs Trump's Iran threat. So Trump widespread all of Iran's power plants and bridges as his deadline for that deal approaches, and everything like that. So a lot of people are definitely talking about what's going on and whether this deal is going to be made or not made. Crime murders in Afghanistan. Australia's most decorated soldier, Ben Robert Smith, was arrested over alleged war crimes. And apparently, he's the most decorated soldier arrested over those war crimes and everything like that. And of course, U.S. Vice President Vance is visiting Hungary. So Trump is campaigning for Viktor Orban in phone call during Vance's rally. So acting attorney general says only Trump knows why Bondi was fired and everything like that. So Vance seeking to boost Hungary's Orban in a tough re-election fight. So Vance makes the time to visit Hungary to support Orban amid the Iran negotiations. And Iran is calling on young people to form human chains around power plants as Trump is making these threats and everything like that. So apparently, Iranians are forming human chains at bridges and power plants. And Iran calls for human chains to protect power plants as Trump's deadlines nears and everything like that. So apparently, Trump said that the Iran ceasefire proposal was not good enough ahead of the deadline. So Trump's deadline for Iran takes closer as the Islamic Republic rejects the temporary ceasefire. So looks like there's a temporary ceasefire that was proposed and has been rejected by folks in that way. And Iran's sponsored resolution on Hormuz is vetoed. So Russia and China veto UN resolution aimed at reopening the Strait of Hormuz hours before Trump deadline. So Russia and China veto watered down UN resolution that was aimed at reopening the Straits of Hormuz that we've been talking about quite often here for the last week or so here on this particular network and everything like that. You can bring in Sasha Stiles, the others join as well, but apparently gunfire reported near an Israeli consulate in Istanbul. So a gunman attacked police near a building housing Israeli consulate in that city of Istanbul in Turkey. So one gunman killed, two others neutralized in shooting at the Israeli consulate in Istanbul, is what the governor of that particular city says. So there definitely was declared a terror attack and all along those lines. So Israel condemns Istanbul attack and thanks Turkey for swift action and says terror will not deter us. And Trump threatened to destroy Russia, to destroy Iran, cannot be morally justified. The head of the Catholic bishops is saying and everything like that. So the Pope issued his stiffest rebuke yet to Trump over war threats. So Pope says Trump's threats to destroy Iranian civilization is truly unacceptable. And of course, there's still that news going on with Greenland, as Trump is also saying that his NATO review began with Greenland and says he might withdraw the U.S. from NATO, even though the law says he can't without Congress's approval. So European allies are losing hope of keeping America in NATO. So that's just some of the political things, but I'm going to bring in Sasha Starr and see what he's got on his mind and all along those lines, because there's lots going on in the world, and it looks like Trump just wanted to hit bombs left and right. So what is your thoughts about what Trump is doing with all of this kind of fiery rhetoric that he has given us?
It's rhetoric. It's part of psychological warfare. Trump is doing in that region. Definitely, he's not going to go with all-out war, destructions, just anything. It's all noise, and that's all he's trying to impress his MAGA fans. Back to them and Trump himself. And I'll tell you, Europe is already turning away from Trump. They don't want to see him, hear him. He is a madman in opinions of European politics, rightly so. However, the one very interesting thing to mention that J.D. Vance is in Hungary
Mhm.
campaigning for Viktor Orban. Viktor Orban
Right.
is a good friend of Putin. So, what is J.D. Vance doing campaigning for good friend of Putin? Actually, both of them are criminals. With J.D. Vance, he doesn't have anything better to do than going to Hungary to support Viktor Orban. Well, it's a part of grand strategy of MAGA, including J.D. Vance and Trump and many others. They want to go to set up a new world order to support the male-dominated civilization against women, against transgenders, against LGBTQ, against just anybody. So this is what they are doing in Hungary, supporting the same friend of Putin and also friend of Trump. So he's not just friend of Putin; he's a very good friend of Donald Trump. And Europeans don't want to do anything with Trump and Putin and Orban and the likes. That's what J.D. Vance is doing in Hungary. Good luck. It's great. Good job, J.J. Vance. Go ahead. Do it. Now,
Yep. He joins. Go
sorry,
ahead.
Mike.
No, I was saying, go ahead. You were making another point.
Oh, another point is that Iranian civilization, several thousand years old, Uh, I hardly can see how U.S. and Israel, with all their might and the military, yeah, they can continue to bomb. They can keep killing Iranians and destroy their plants and other objects and so on. But it doesn't change the regime. To change the regime, you need ground operation. You need 300,000 men, 100 of which will not come home. But that's the price. If you want to really change the government, you want to own Iranian oil, same as you do in Venezuela. So you'll own also Iranian oil. You will own all ways to supply the oil around the world. So you will own oil, you will own a ways of delivery oil, and you will decide whom to deliver, when to deliver, how much to deliver. So you will control the world, and therefore Trump would become an emperor of the world, not the US. Who needs US when you are emperor of all the world? You control all oil of the world. But to do that, there is a price to pay. The price to pay is 100,000 young Americans. Are you ready, Donald, to do that move and sacrifice the lives of 100,000? So, in other words,
That, but then again, he might be. He might even be ready to use the nuclear option, but I hope not, and everything like that in that space. But just really quickly, because you're a student of history, I try to be a student of history. I'm guessing maybe one of the Russian czars or maybe Napoleon. But when was the last time we had somebody that tried to be a world emperor? I mean, I know Hitler tried it, but that was a long time ago and everything like that. But when was the last time that somebody tried to be ruler of the entire world that actually maybe succeeded in parts of it? I'm guessing that might have been the Napoleon era or something like that, because he did have control of parts of Africa and parts of Asia and everything like that. So who is the last true world emperor?
I would believe it's Genghis Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, he didn't conquer all world. He
No.
conquered all the known world at that time, from Egypt to China.
Right.
And he was trying to conquer Japan, but I think it was too difficult and he didn't care about Japan. When he had China. Why does he need Japan? Yeah, Napoleon See, Napoleon, the problem was that we're definitely talking European theater,
Right. Right.
and it wasn't too long. Well, Napoleon started his uh, uh, wars at the end of 18th century, and by the beginning of 19th century, it was all done and over in 1815. He was
Right.
defeated,
Yeah.
and that's it. So it's just too short and all. He was very good soldier and he was very good leader, but it was all too short and I didn't go as planned. But he's still cherished as a great general, and in France, people
Mhm.
really still cherish and respect him. And what's very interesting that Macron lately said that he's getting sick and tired of Donald Trump. He doesn't want to do anything with Donald Trump. Bye bye, Donald Trump. And so many other European leaders now they're not hiding. Okay,
Yeah.
so he said this, he had that, a little bit of this and that. No, they don't want to hear anything anymore about. Bye bye, Donald. Okay, it's not our war, it's your war. You want to fight it? Okay, you do. The problem is now that Trump is at the crossroads.
Mhm.
I think he already understands that the midterm election is lost. There is nothing that he can repair it. It's lost for sure in
Right.
House and most likely in Senate as well. Although Senate he may be able to save. So what options he has? Okay, definitely he has to do something to his Iranian situation. I think he must have some kind of tackle. Chicken. Just run as fast as you can. Just bye bye. Okay, I've done it. Okay, Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz, Europeans will do, or somebody else will do. By the way, the Strait of Hormuz is not closed.
Nope.
Iranian ships can go through, Chinese ships, French ship could go through. So it's not closed. It's only close to American Israelis and their friends. That's all.
Yeah.
And even though if they will pay money, and it's only one, maybe up to $3 per barrel, what's a big problem? So the barrel of oil costs, say, it used to be what, $70 when
Mhm.
it started. So it would be 71, $73. It's now 115. So you are much better off to finish all this business, pay $73 per barrel, and enjoy yourself.
Yep. 'Cause that gas prices definitely go up there and everything like that. I'm still trying to figure out what his complex is. I mean, definitely we've uh, kind of come to the assumption that he's got a Messiah complex, but we were talking about Napoleon earlier, and the part of the thing with Napoleon was he was also a great general, but he was also short. So some people said he had, and that's where the term came from, a Napoleon complex and everything like that. But Donald is not short. Donald is not short at all. He's actually relatively uh, average height, and his son is actually tall and everything like that. So I don't know why he would have a Napoleon complex, but maybe he got some other sort of complex as well. But ICE is in the news also because I saw that one was hospitalized after shooting involved an ICE agent in Central California traffic stop. So that just happened earlier today. So the ICE agents have shot another man, this time in California, after he weaponized his vehicle. So they're claiming the same thing that they claimed for some of the other people that they were, the man was, I guess, trying to charge them, is what DHS is saying. So this took place in Northern California earlier today, and they're saying that he was trying to use the car as a weapon against them and run into them and everything like that. And I also see the acting attorney general's in the news, Todd Blanche, because he says the DOJ isn't focused on Trump's enemies. So we know Trump has an enemy list, but apparently the acting attorney general, now that he's acting and everything, says the Department of Justice won't be focused on Trump's enemies. And Blanche invoked Trump love when asked about staying on after Bondi. So he's the acting Department of Justice chief after Bondi was let go and everything. But he says he said that Trump has the right to order investigations into his enemies, but they are not personally focused on those enemies and everything like that. But he's always got some thoughts about this and everything like that. So, Jacoby, what's your take on the acting general saying that they're not going after the enemies, even though we know there's a hit list? You're on mute.
often?
I mean, him going after his enemies, that's normal. That's what authoritarians do. Authoritarians also commit genocide. That's what he's talking about he's going to do next.
Right.
So I'm not I don't have anything extra to add besides this man. And heck, JD Vance is just as bad. He's out palling around campaigning for Viktor Orban.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're in a bad situation. Very bad situation.
Yeah, and apparently Trump is trying to use Watergate now because Trump's Department of Justice tells Trump he can hold on to government docs when he leaves office, contrary to the law that was created during the Watergate era. So they're saying that he can hold on to the government documents even after he leaves office, and who knows what he might be having in those records and everything. I've even talked to some people that when they left their jobs, they purged their records and everything like that. So for all we know, he might decide to purge all of his records when the next president comes in as well. So do we have this fear that he's just going to erase everything? I mean, he did that to somewhat with Epstein. So is he just going to erase all his bad history when he leaves office?
Yes.
I don't think that
he's going to try.
He's going to leave office. I don't think that he's going to leave office. Trump is a person who absolutely defies all odds and who will do something incredible with a very little chances of succeed, but because it sort of suits his interest or his desire, understanding, and he believes that he is immune to any persecution that either people will not be able to bring it, or they will not be able to bring it on time, or there
He
will
thinks
be
he's immune, but there
time,
are
but
some.
then this time it all will be going anyway. That's the type of person he is. He will try anything available to him.
Well, there are people that are trying to push Article 25. Apparently, the Republicans were silent earlier today as the Democrats called on the U.S. cabinet to oust Trump over these threats to Iran. So Trump's Iran threats are spurring calls to invoke 25th Amendment, and it's apparently an eclectic group. So it's not just the members of the Democratic Party, but there are some Republicans that are a part of this as well. So this post that he had about Iran and removal to among.
Mark, all this Article 25 is non-starter because it all has to become within his cabinet, and he controls his cabinet, so it's not starter. Don't even discuss it. It's noise, nothing.
Yeah, I agree with Sasha on that one. It's not going to do anything. Has to go through the cabinet. Even more so, you have to have Republicans to jump on. The Republicans are complicit in the whole thing. They're not going to go out. They're not going to do anything. And we're not even close to the election, so you can't have Democrats in power to even push it through. So yeah, it's a non-starter. It's not going to do anything. It's not going anywhere. We're just at a moment. I was just going to say, we're just at a moment where we have a true authoritarian trying to go on conquests, and he's being led. Netanyahu's leading him down the way, but he's trying to. He has this this complex that he thinks he's a god because people pray to him. He's already made his name synonymous with the U.S. in the eyes of MAGA and some Republicans. So anytime you talk bad about Trump, they run and say, "Well, you're talking bad about you're not patriotic. You're against the country." So they've already manipulated people into doing that. We're just in a bad spot. We're screwed, really. I mean, right now we all just have to wait.
Yeah, we just got to weather the storm, as they like to say, and everything. But I'm also worried because Sasha, or even Jacoby, I don't know what you think, but I know that Biden got in trouble a couple of times when there were hostage swaps, and we know that what happened with Brittany Griner, and I don't know who was swapped in this trade and everything, but apparently the U.S. journalist Shelley Kittleson who was kidnapped in Iraq is free a prisoner swap. So what did they get in return for us getting her back and everything like that? That's what I'm curious to find out and everything along those lines, because sometimes maybe they get a better deal and everything like that. So, but apparently this is something, because I think a lot of criticism of Biden when he did a swap. Where's the criticism of Trump when he's doing the swap? We don't know, at least I don't know yet, what we got in return.
And you're talking about swap between whom? What is a swap idea?
Between they said that the journalists got kidnapped in Iraq, and they had a swap between the Iraqi government and the U.S. government. So apparently, we gave them something in return for getting the journalists back.
But I'm not aware that the Iranians captured anybody, any American.
She was kidnapped in Iraq, the adjacent country. She was kidnapped in Iraq. She was kidnapped in Baghdad.
But it's not the same. Iraq is a story from Iran, because Iraq is really, I mean, it's just a territory. It's not something to worry about.
Definitely.
It's nothing.
Maybe.
Iran. You have to worry about Iran. Iran has capacity. You heard all these Arab countries in the region. It can hurt American bases. It can kill American. It can strike at the airplanes like F-15s and A-10 and many others. The invasion of Iran is possible because of the number of killed Americans. So this is what U.S. has to worry about. And it's about time to make TACO.
Yeah, it makes sense and everything like that. This is for both you and Titovian. It's a little bit off of the topic of the Iran war, but it still has to do with the Messiah complex and some of the things that Trump has given people the right to do and everything like that. Because apparently Texas is changing its social studies curriculum because the critics had said it was too sex-centric. But right now, their Board of Education is considering requiring Bible passage readings for public schools. So public school, I thought, was supposed to be non-religious and everything like that. But apparently in Texas, they're considering a required reading list for the schools, which includes the Bible. So I know you've got a couple of young ones, Jacoby. So what would you say if they tried to have you have the Bible automatically read if you were in Texas?
This is what this administration is pushing. The attorney general or the attorneys general is supposed to push back against this and actually sue for it because it's against the Constitution what they're trying to do. And this is what the white nationalists, white Christian nationalists have been pushing for a while. So again, this is, I mean, unless somebody in Texas sues, that's going to be the doctrine, and that doctrine, because Texas is one of the larger school boards, and that's one of the ones that pushes it across the nation. That's going to try and push it through everywhere. So again, it's sickening what we're going through, and honestly, again, we're at a position where we're stuck because this administration is pushing the same thing on the military. They're trying to make it sound like this is a religious war. It's not a religious war, but that's what they're doing. They're saying all these things are ordained by God and Trump is protected by God. It's ridiculous. This is and the wild thing about it is the same people that are calling the people of Iran religious zealots and so on and so forth are religious zealots themselves. So it's just wild where we are at this moment.
Yeah, it's totally wild because apparently they arrested a woman's newlywed wife of a soldier and everything like that, but now they have released her. But she had been detained and had been facing deportation and everything like this because this was a Annie Ramos, a Hispanic young lady and everything like that. And they detained her. And it looked like they actually grabbed her at the military base and everything like that. But unfortunately, this one seems like, at least for right now, that it's going in her favor. But that doesn't mean that it will stay in her favor and everything like that. But that's just kind of rude to get a person right as they're starting their life together.
You know, the more I think about this upcoming election, I think that the most important thing is to make sure that the election will indeed happen. Mm-hmm. Because today, I'm not sure about that at all. So the people who are patriots of the United States, whether it's Democrats and not only Democrats, they have to create a association for a fair election in November. That the only goal is that number one, election will happen. Number two, that it will be fair election. And if they can create a coalition of millions of people, and judging from the fact that the last weekend was there is no king meetings around the United States of millions of people, I think the same millions of people will sign for a fair and free election. So election will take place because the worst case scenario is that there will be no election. Either there will be prolonged war with Iran or any other war, or a new war, or no war, or something happening. That election will be postponed, be cancelled. See, it's all against Constitution. But today, with Trump, nobody cares about Constitution. If he could, committing so many crimes, he is convicted felon, and he has been twice elected as the president of the United States. You know what you're talking about. It's kind of a black day for the United States, and you have to live with that unless you can will to win election. That's really your only choice to get from this nightmare.
Yeah, that's the only way to get out of the nightmare. But there is another thing that is happening. It may be good news, but I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts around this. Is we've talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and now it looks like Tucker Carlson was not that pleased with the Easter message as well. So it does seem like some of the MAGA support is starting to fall aside and everything like that, because there was even talk that Tucker Carlson is now having a feud with Trump, even though he was a major ally of his back in the day and everything. So President Donald Trump apparently was melting down at the MAGA star, because there's no doubt Tucker Carlson was a mega star, being mean about his unhinged message. So is there some fracture in the alliance that is probably just being shown more than we like to, than they like to say?
There's a fracture, yeah, but it's not going to change. Again, he's in power, and he's already created an oligarchy based out of what we have. So it doesn't matter. I mean, Tucker Carlson campaigned for him.
Right.
Candace Owens campaigned for him. All these people campaigned for him, and he's now in power. He's walled himself off with a bunch of yes men. Your loyalty is what matters, and what ends up happening is that you get paid for whatever you do with whatever you do for Trump now, and that's the point. Is nobody's going to turn against him in the offices.
But if you get paid, then you get to deny it. Because I was watching online recently. I think it was one of those Breakfast Club interviews, but it was with Swaze Lee, no relation to me, and everything like that. That's a hip hop artist, and he was talking about how he was. Even though he had that song, I think it's called "Up Trump" or something like that. There was a Trump praise song and everything like in that way. But he was saying that he was offered, I think, 90 Benjamins or $90,000, but he claims that he turned it down to both speak and to be involved with Trump and everything like that, even though he had a negative message about Kamala Harris and everything like that. But he was saying that folks needed to do more research on Kamala. And but he also said, because he was happy with the tax cut that Trump gave him, but he was not happy with some of the curriculum things that he's doing as well. So he was saying that he was not happy with Trump, and he claimed that he didn't take the money. So one, do you think he took the money, Jacoby? And because it was an interesting interview, they didn't really press him. I would have pressed him more and everything like that.
$90,000? Yeah, he took the money.
He took the money.
I mean,
because he was
Trump actually took money from, I forgot where it was. He took it out of, there was another fund that we were supposed to be doing. I think it was, I can't remember, but he took money from one fund and paid the Board of Peace. So basically he paid himself. So Trump is using the U.S. money and everybody's tax dollars to do whatever he wants to do.
So y'all are thinking that the Democrats don't have any chance, because I just saw this article come across. It came from the Wall Street Journal. The House Democrats are seeking an immediate vote to avert World War III. So they're afraid that we're heading to World War III. And now, a Democrat who voted against the end of U.S. involvement is now calling for the Iran war to end. So it does look like there is a push to have a vote on something from the congressional level, because that's where the votes are supposed to take place at. But you're thinking that even if they vote to not have the war, he'll still go ahead and have World War III or whatever he wants to call this. I think it's a special action.
Again, who's in charge?
What?
The Democrats can talk about, hey, we're going to have a vote. We got the votes. If Speaker Johnson does not bring it to the floor, you got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how many times you want to yell out, I got the votes. We don't want to do this. We need to stop him from doing this. Let's put in a law to stop him. Speaker Johnson doesn't put it on the floor, you got nothing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's real true. Hey, another world politics thing that we can wrap up shortly and everything along those lines, but I am curious to hear your thoughts, Sasha. But it looks like with all this talk of war, I know we've got Ukraine, we've got what's going on in Iran and everything like that, but there was another country that was being threatened with takeover. That was Taiwan, and apparently the Taiwan opposition leader is heading to China in what he's calling a journey for peace. So the Taiwan opposition leader is visiting China on what she called a journey of peace. So is this going to work? Because it's a chance to meet Xi in a test of diplomatic skills and everything like that. So it looks like they are trying to maybe throw an olive branch, because there was been talk of maybe China, seeing what Russia has done and what the U.S. is doing, now going after Taiwan. But I guess they're trying to nip this in the bud and everything like that. So what's your take on this journey of peace?
Well, it's a very, very timely and very proper way for Taiwan to act when there is obvious that Taiwan, in case of Chinese aggression, will not have any support from the United States or from anybody else. So instead of fighting China, which is almost unthinkable enterprise, they have to make a deal with China and together coexist and helping each other, and let US fight Iran, Iraq, and the Gulf states and European states and just whoever they can think of, just keep fighting, and Donald will be a great winner in all the fights, and let them just keep doing. Taiwan is too clever to put themselves into Donald Trump's hands.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I know that on one of our other shows, Dr. Patmos talks about medicine and science, and he's not a big fan of RFK Jr., but it looks like I'm sure he might be talking about this tomorrow, but RFK Jr. is moving to broaden the CDC vaccine panel eligibility after a federal judge found that the new members are unqualified. We got a lot of unqualified people in various departments in the White House and everything like that. So I don't think that they really have a qualification list that they really have, other than maybe a pledge to be loyal to Trump. I think that's the qualification you have to have. What do you think, Joe? Is that the main qualification? You have to have the pledge that you're going to be loyal to Trump no matter what he does?
Yeah, I mean that's been the pledge from the start. Loyalty is important to him.
Yeah, it's very important to him. That's where he's at. He's thinking about that loyalty and all along those lines and everything. Well, we can get ready to wrap this one up. Like I said, it's going to be anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes and everything. I will tell y'all that on tomorrow's World Edition, which will be the full hour, we will have somebody that you might want to be there for sure, Shelby, and even you, Sasha. But there's a young lady that has observed something that I've been knowing for a while, which is that the amount of prisoners in prison here in the United States exceeds the population and everything like that. So she's a person that has noticed that we lead the world in the amount of people that are sent to prison and that are incarcerated and everything like that. So I think that it's like 20%. Or she's got some statistics. I'll have to bring them up when I talk to and interview her tomorrow, but she'll be in the first part and then we'll get into other discussions as well. But she is a person that has realized that we are the leading people in terms of incarcerating folks. Probably even incarcerating more people than they do in Russia and some of the authoritarian countries and everything like that. So she'll be talking about that when she comes on the show tomorrow. Oh, Rick's here, so let's see what Rick had on his mind. He joined us as well, so we'll have to end all the right now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey there.
My wife's freaking out as we're 2.5 hours away from Trump's deadline. I just tweeted out that if the staff at the Walter Reed Medical Center has knowledge that Trump is on anti-amyloid drugs to slow the early dementia, now would be a good time to let America know, even though it's against HIPAA, because he's getting us involved in some serious shit.
Yeah,
and,
but
his hand is often shows the signs of having had an IV plugged into it. You know, they put that pancake makeup on it. And there are a couple of anti-amyloid drugs where you get them every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, and they slow down the formation of the gunk that gunks up your brain with Alzheimer's. So it's. I mean, he could have the IV thing for any number of things, but that's a possibility. And if it's the right possibility, then we should know about it.
Yeah, but how is that news going to get out there? That's one of the things me and Sasha.
Somebody would have to take the hit. Somebody would have to figure out a way to leak the information. And, you know,
is anybody going to be that bold?
I don't know. I mean, it would be their career, and possibly they could get prosecuted. It'd be against the law. They'd have to figure out a way to get it out there. And, you know, even if it's only a 10% chance that he's being treated for it, and it's more than a 10% chance because he's been given 3 tests for dementia. You know, they give you that simple little test. It takes like 10 minutes. They show you pictures of 3 animals. You name the animals. They say, starting from 100, subtract 7, get 93. Do it again, get 86. And can you do that? Draw a clock. We give you 5 words. I say 5 words to you. You say the words back to me. So all that stuff, that's a test for dementia.
Yeah, but
and he's had that test 3 times. Have you had the test even once? As a normal person, been given that test?
For dementia?
No, nobody gets that test.
Right.
So anyway, so people are nervous.
Yeah, a lot of people are very nervous and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on and whether he bombs everything. And they're talking about putting a chain around the power plants and the bridges. So that's one of the things that they were asking for folks to do and everything like that. So this could be a mass suicide.
And on the liberal news channels, MSNBC, CNN, they're talking about blowing up a country's bridges, taking out its electrical power plants. That is a war crime. That you're attacking civilian infrastructure. And Trump tried to prosecute 6 senators and Congress people who 2 months ago, 3-4 months ago, put out a video saying that if you're in the military, you're obligated to not follow illegal orders. And you could make a very persuasive case that blowing up a country's roads and power plants is a war crime. And thus the orders to do that are illegal. So it would be pretty interesting if Trump orders this to be done and then the military refuses to act on those orders. But I guess
it'd be interesting how that plays out. I was telling the other guys that tomorrow we'll have a young lady on. I'm trying to remember her name, but she'll be talking about the prison population because she's an advocate for being less folks in prisons and for and a number of other things in that space. Because 1 out of 5 prisoners in the world is incarcerated in the U.S. We actually lead the prison population with 2.3.
Right. We have the highest percentage of the population in prison, and we have the highest absolute number. We have more people in prison in the U.S. than China has people in
Right.
prison, than India, than any other country. And
No, we're way above India. India's only got 451,000. Russia's got 527,000. Brazil 747,000. This is all from statistics a while back and everything. But the U.S. had 2.3 million and China had 1.6 million. So we're out doing China and everything.
and China
That
has
is
four
not
times the population we have.
4 times the population, right? And this was all before these statistics were before the pandemic. So they may have gone up or down depending on what was going on in the various countries during the pandemic. But those were statistics during the pandemic. And I was also telling, because I think Michael's show is tomorrow, Michael Padmas, and apparently
Yeah.
they have found quite a few of the people in the RFK administration are unqualified. So they've actually just recently released it. There's a whole bunch of them that are unqualified and don't have the correct resume or the correct
So
visa. And everything.
the prison thing Clinton did that.
Right.
Clinton, I think, tripled the number of people in prison, or at least in federal prison. The prison population more than doubled in the 90s, and at the same time there was a huge drop in crime. So they happened at the same time, roughly. But I'm not sure that one fully explains the other. In that, the way we started changing. I got on the internet in 1995. That's roughly when most of the population, mid 90s to late 90s, most people started. So people get on the internet late 90s. And the internet sucks, but it's fun to use. You can slowly download.
That's back when Black Planet and MySpace and a lot of things that aren't even around, like Friendster, were around. But yes, I was probably there in like the 90s and just getting into the internet during that time. And some of them I don't even know they're still around, because Magenta was a form of Black Planet, but it was for the Hispanic population and everything like that. And then of course there was a number of other ones. I think I've said before that I remember one that was called Millionaire Match, which is basically like a way that you could hook up with a millionaire, supposedly, and everything like that. But yeah, that was the early days of
and then in the early 2000s, people start using Google, and that's when the internet starts becoming useful, and people start moving. So people move then, and after that, like retail is done. Like boutiques that just, like if you own a shop that sells skirts and earrings and T-shirts in the mall or on a street, you might be out of business by 2007 because kids start ordering all their crap. When did Amazon become popular?
I'm trying to remember when Amazon and eBay became popular. I think that was in the early 2000s.
So Jeff Bezos was named Time Person of the Year in 2005. So by 2005, people are using Amazon to buy all their crap.
Right.
So what happens is, a lot of crime was street crime, but over in the late 90s and the 10 years after that, a lot of street crime goes away because a lot of street traffic goes away. Because
when did the dark web become popular? Because that's when people started being able to find ways to do criminal activities over the line.
I don't know, probably at the same time. Also, the smartphone, the first iPhone comes out in 2007.
Yeah,
now we have as many smartphones on Earth as there are people. So people do their business online, so crime drops because people don't even carry cash. So
most people only do it by their credit cards and things along those lines, because you're right, people don't carry cash and everything like that. Because I'm trying to remember, I mean, it was so long ago, it's 40 years ago. I'm trying to remember, because I remember having the big computer that you would go to when I was in college and everything like that. I know I didn't get a laptop until later on after I had graduated and everything like that. And I graduated in the early mid 80s, 84, December of 84.
Yeah, I was in college at roughly the same time you were, and nobody had their own computer. There was if you needed to do work, you went to the computer lab. There was
a computer lab. That's what I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was a computer lab, right?
and you'd sit and you'd sign up for like a time slot. Maybe
Right.
you'd type your paper in, and then you could get it printed out. So otherwise, you'd be back at your dorm room using a typewriter.
Right.
And who freaking remembers typewriters even? If you needed to do graphics work, I remember there was a graphics lab
Right.
on campus that if you needed to like make a picture, a graph to print out, you go sign up, and there were maybe like 8-10 computers in that lab connected to 2 printers. And this was, I don't know, probably 1985, 86.
Yeah, that sounds good. I did have somebody ask me a question. It might have been on one of our previous shows, so I'm gonna ask you right now. But somebody, and I know your answer. Your wife probably wouldn't let you do it. But with Colbert going away from his job, somebody on one of our shows, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Kim, was asking whether you were going to go for that job because you have the experience.
No, they already have. They announced today what's replacing him, which is, Byron Allen's a good guy, right?
I like Byron Allen.
But he's got a show called Comics Unleashed.
I watch that show sometimes. It's actually kind of
all right,
funny.
but it's not a huge production. It's a show that you might see as a time filler at 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's like four comics. He tells like some corny jokes, asks them like some irreverent questions, and then they'll come up with an answer and everything like that. But yeah,
it's not like Colbert has a staff of 250 people trying to come up with the best production, every day. And this will be pre-taped. It's syndicated. It's not an expensive show. It's like you said, it's corny. So
right.
CBS,
that's what's replacing Colbert is Comic View.
According to one report I saw, which is we're kind of when we were kids, there was no SNL on Saturday night. There was Don Kirshner's rock concert, which was not a good show. It was like, I mean, fine if you like Led Zeppelin at midnight. If you're a nerd like I was, you couldn't get.
You were nerds. I saw a picture, and it was actually on Facebook. It was a picture of a certain gentleman, and it said that if you were a certain age, and if your parents let you watch it, you would enjoy this certain show that was from overseas because it was a little bit blue and everything like that. So that's why a lot of people were rushing to see, because there was a picture of Benny Hill, because Benny Hill would definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Benny Hill is fine, but anyway, we're in late night. I mean, it's not like we're going back to the pre-SNL days, because there's a million different things to watch. But network late night, it might be returning to the age of just crappy. Nothing against Byron Allen, but Byron Allen's show is a space filler. Now maybe CBS will decide, hey, we're gonna make it better. We're going to give.
They said they were taking. They said they would no, but what I was told was they would. And maybe he's just a space filler, because I was told he was taking applications. So they were wanting somebody to fill in the job. So that was reported like a few weeks ago that they were taking application for somebody to replace. Now that he's no longer.
Let me see. Let's see what it's. Yes, the Late Show will be replaced by Byron Allen's Comics Unleashed, according to CBS, and this comes from the New York Times.
Okay. Do you know anything about late night applications being accepted?
You know what? I'm too much like some people who worked in late night have a great reputation and can get hired on any late night show. There's a guy named Dino Stampanopoulos, who has he's for some reason I guess because he's really good. He can get hired wherever. Steve O'Donnell, my old boss at Kimmel, great, could get hired any place. Though, does he want to work anymore? I don't know. It's a brutal job, every night, every day. But I don't have that reputation where people hear my name and they think, yeah, that's the asshole who sued a quiz show, and that guy's a weirdo. And not that I'm funny. I am funny, but not as funny as the funniest people, and not funny enough I could just get hired on the basis of my name. And if you're not getting hired by that, then you're part of a slush pile where 300 people have all with agents. I don't even have an agent right now. I could probably get one pretty easy, well, reasonable. But anyway, 300 people submit for 5 slots, for 6 slots, and to even submit, you have to do, I don't know, 20, 30 hours of work writing jokes, writing bits. They have to be topical. I can't use jokes I wrote 5 years ago because they're not applicable anymore. So no, I'm not going to be applying for a slot anyplace.
Well, I got you. Well, they thought you would do a great job. I think it was Kimberly that said that and everything. She's like, he needs to apply. But on that note, we're going to get out of here because I know next Sunday we do have a show and we'll have what the prison advocate has to say on tomorrow. So we got other shows and we're going to go to Mama Noni right now.
Right.
So
we're shooting to get going at about 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 your time on Sunday night.
All right, that'll work.
And I've already talked to Lance to see if we can have like 5 minutes go by without us yelling at each other.
That'll work too.
I can't promise anything.
We'll see what happens. We're going to go out with the 30-second clock because for some reason the regular outro is not where it should be. So we're going to go out with the 30-second clock. But
all right, see you tomorrow morning.
See you tomorrow morning.